Hi everybody, I'm Wayne Davies from Spectrum Economics. I'm also known as Spectrum Econs on my social media. You'll find me on Twitter. I've done a bit on Facebook, not so much recently, but I do most of my work on Hive. Hive is part of a blockchain. I've actually got another course where I talk about Hive and I talk about Steam. But enough of that for now. Let's talk about this course. Welcome to Practitioner's Guide to Cost-Benefit Analysis. So what is this course about? You're probably wondering. Why should you do this course? Well, there's a number of different reasons why you might be interested. And this is going to be applicable to people that are in the area, working in the area of cost-benefit analysis. So that could be someone who's just starting out, who's going to be actually doing some cost-benefit analysis, maybe part of a team that's involved in that. Or maybe you're just using some of the outputs from cost-benefit analysis. So you might be looking at some cost-benefit analysis reports, for example. Or you could be providing data to cost-benefit analysis for them to use. So for that, this is going to be very useful. And it's going to be very useful, as I said, practitioner, for people that are starting out in cost-benefit analysis. Even if you're reasonably experienced, it's got a lot of information in there that you can refer back to later on. So it can actually help you understand more about some of the main concepts, as well as some of the main steps. So before I progress any further, and I'm going to be talking about this later on in this unit through slides, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. So why am I presenting this course? Why would I be considered the ideal person? Well, I've been involved with cost-benefit analysis for over 10 years now. I spent about 9 years doing it with the Transport and Main Roads in Queensland. I spent another year while I was partially involved with cost-benefit analysis with the Department of Building Queensland. So during my time with Transport and Main Roads, I evaluated over 50 CBAs. So that's quite a lot, considering some of these were very detailed. And some of them were projects and some of them were programs, which actually had more projects within them. So if you look at our project basis, we're probably actually up to around 100 CBA. So that's a lot of CBAs and that's a lot of experience. On top of that, I've also presented at various conferences. Most of those within Australia. They're called the ARB Conference, as well as the ATRF, that's the Australasia Transport Research Forum. There I presented on various topics, almost all of them relating to cost-benefit analysis. So some of them looking at sensitivity analysis, some of them looking at the indicators. I even specialized in flood projects, because where I was in Queensland, there was a lot of flooding. So there's a lot of different aspects to that. But I don't just focus on roads and transportation. In the year I was at Building Queensland, I did quite a few CBA reviews where I was looking at some other projects. Some of them, one was relating to rail, okay, we sort of covered that. There's another that was looking at a dam. There's another one as well that looked at a hospital. And there's another looking at radio communications and things like that. So that's the review side. And once you've got the basics of cost-benefit analysis, you should be able to apply it to many, many different types of projects. And that is what I'm going to be trying to do here with this course. Basically impart the basics. I'll be using a few examples, some from transport. I think I have a health example. I even have an example of the arts. That was another one that I looked at briefly. I think it was a theatre. So there's plenty to look at there. Some of this may be in the context relating to Australia, because that's where I did my CBAs, but a lot of it is very broad, so you could be anywhere in the world, you'll still be using those. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this first part of my introduction. I have now got 4 slides for you to look through where I'm going to do a voiceover, and I'll be covering off on those. So here are the 4 sections that this course has been divided into. So you start off with introducing cost-benefit analysis. So this is the first unit in that part. The next section is going to be preparing a cost-benefit analysis. Section 3 is conducting a cost-benefit analysis. And the final section is understanding cost-benefit analysis. Section 1 is going to be the shortest of the 4 sections. So it's only going to have 4 units. The first unit is this introduction unit. The second unit is going to be where I'll be talking about assessment, multiple choice questions, and a test question. The third section, I'm going to be defining what cost-benefit analysis is and breaking down a definition. And the fourth section, I'm going to be talking about how cost-benefit analysis can be useful. Section 2 is going to be a little bit longer. And in section 2, I'm going to be talking about preparing a CBA. So a lot of this is relating to the work that goes into the CBA before you actually get into the real analysis part of it. So it's going to start off with a structure, as you can see here. Got 14 steps, and then I'm going to be talking about a lot of those earlier steps, such as defining the problem, defining the outcome, defining the base case, project case, determining what a reference group is, and a few other areas that you need to be familiar with before you can conduct your CBA. In section 3, we'll actually get into how you conduct a cost-benefit analysis. So it's going to be going into all the important aspects of how you come up with identifying your benefits and costs, then quantifying them, then monetizing them, as well as how you can then go about comparing them, and then how you can then present that using various different indicators. And then we'll talk about some of the key theory behind that, such as methodology, the importance of unit values, the importance of the evaluation period, interpolation, extrapolation of data. And then we'll talk about things such as sensitivity analysis, so you can then revisit your key drivers and assumptions and make sense of all that stuff there. So this is a really important section, and it's probably one of the key sections of why you're probably taking this course to begin with, because you want to conduct a CBA, and this covers off on all of those key things. This will then take us to section 4 and the final section of this course. So we covered off on a lot at this point, but this section is very important to kind of pull things together. So you understand what cost benefit analysis is, you understand what you need to do to prepare one, you know what to do and how you conduct one. But there's certain other things you need to understand about cost benefit analysis, and this is what this section will take you through. It'll take a look at things like common mistakes, the limitations of cost benefit analysis, how CBA can be potentially manipulated. It'll also look at some of the other areas that can help support a cost benefit analysis, such as wider economic benefits, for example, general equilibrium modeling, social impact evaluation. We'll also look at it in terms of a bigger picture, like how you'd have your costs, how you have your projects, they might become part of a program, for example, and how you'd go about doing a cost benefit analysis for a program. And then it will wrap up by looking at a few case studies. So we've got 2 case studies. Both of those are broken down into 2 units. And then after that, we will then have a test case for you guys to do. So it's got a whole unit dedicated to that, explaining what that, so we call it a case study, I guess, for you guys to practice. And then we round out the course with a summary of all the key points from all the 4 sections. All right, so that brings us to the end of this first unit. So we're still not going to go into the course proper yet. The next unit, we're going to talk about course assessment. So these are the tools, should we say, for you to assess how much of the information you'll be able to comprehend, as well as how you can actually assess how you're able to apply the information and knowledge that you've collected so far. So that the next unit will cover off on what I mean by all of that.